welcome to the 2022 end of the year books. My dog is coughing. Booksplosion live show. I'm Christine.
I'm Jesse.
Oh my god.
I'm Kat.
There's a delay. Oh
no. And we're Booksplosion. Today we are discussing in the first half an hour of this show Jennette McCurdy's hit novel, I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's been on the bestseller list all year, on multiple bestseller lists. She does the audiobook. It's fantastic. Oh my gosh, my dog is coughing. Then the second half an hour today is going to be our Booksplosion Superlatives end of the year live show where we talk about all the books we've read this year. We rank them. We answer like fun superlative questions and give away awards to the books. It's a grand old time. So if you're joining us today, it's going to be a fun one. I'm glad you're here. So we're going to start off talking about Jennette McCurdy's novel now. And let's kick it off with, I don't know if you want to do a synopsis. I can give you a really quick synopsis. Jennette McCurdy is from iCarly. She played Sam. That's what she's well known as. And she, of course, was a child star, but she was forced into acting by her mother. And her mother was a narcissist. She was very abusive. And this book takes us through her life with her mother because she did everything for her mom. Her whole goal in life was to keep her mom happy. And her mom passed when she was 22 years old. And Jennette was steeped in so many bad habits. And she's in a very bad place because of how her mother influenced her life. And it's Jennette's journey coming through that. And now she's on the other end of it and she's processed all of it and reprocessed everything that happened through the lens of all the therapy that she's done. And it's really well written. It's really grueling. So it's very triggering for a lot of different things. So like anything with eating disorders, like very, very triggering. She talks about it in very honest, in-depth detail. So if that is triggering for you, I don't know if you want to pick up this book, because even like for myself, I found it a little triggering. I know Desi was saying you found it a little triggering. Kat, did you find the same thing?
Yeah, like even if it wasn't like reflective of my personal experiences, it was still so like raw and emotional. It was tough to read at times.
Yeah. So that is our preamble there. Kat, do you want to kick it off with your thoughts post-read?
Yeah. I mean, it was overwhelming to a certain degree. I was not very familiar with Jennette McCurdy before she released this book because I was kind of just past the age of like iCarly and Kat and Sam. And so like I never watched those shows. So I didn't have any reference for her until reading this. But man, it's always hard to sort of review or talk about a memoir because it's not a story. So you can't really compare it to a lot of those like story arc or character development things because like it's a real person and it's her real life. I think she's a very talented writer. I think this book was very emotional and raw, and you can tell that she's come so far from just being able to write this and kind of acknowledge the things that she's been through. And God, it was just a really hard read from beginning to end because like in the beginning when she starts and she's like 6 or 7 years old, like in the narrative, she's talking about it from her perspective as a child of like, she just wants to make her mom happy. She just wants to be on her mom's side, do whatever her mom wants, and like kind of smothers her own needs in order to appease to her mom. And like, we're reading this and we can tell from our like distanced perspective that she's in a very bad situation and that it's not healthy. It's really toxic. But in the narrative, like she can't tell that at that point in time. She's so blind to everything. So it was a real emotional and tough read, but it was really well written. You can tell that like at one point she mentions how she wanted to be a writer. She like wrote her first screenplay when she was like 11 or 12 or something.
Yeah.
And her mom kind of like dismissed that interest completely and was like, no, you don't want to be a writer. Like, you want to be an actor. But so like I'm like proud of her for getting to write and getting to find success in something that she chooses and that she wanted to do. Yeah, I don't know, a lot of complicated feelings about this one just because of the material.
Yeah, by the end of the book, I was just like so proud of her too. I was just like thinking about it now, like the book has done so well, and she wanted to be a writer from when she was so young, and her mom was so rude about it when she brought it up. And yeah, with that lens, knowing how the book is gone, and now she's going to have, you know, a fantastic writing career because she's really proven herself to be very talented. And I know she worked for, I think, I don't know,
A magazine of some sort.
yeah, it was like a newspaper or something, or some journal. I forget which one it was, but she's been writing for a while now. But this is like, everyone knows that she's a writer now. She's completely reestablished herself, and it's a beautiful thing knowing how much she didn't like acting from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Jesse, what about you?
Oh my gosh, Kat said everything so eloquently. I don't know how to top that, but I really love this book. I feel like I just left it with a lot of respect for Jennette, in terms of, you know, everything that she's been through and how she's able to, like, you know, continue to move on through life in the way that she is. And but then also just being so open and honest about everything that she has been through. I cannot imagine, you know, sharing everything that she did in this book with the world. And with the platform that she has, you know, it's wild to think of all the things that she's been through. But yeah, I just left it with like a lot of respect. And I really, really hope that she puts out more books because, like you guys said, she's just like an excellent writer. And I feel like she's got so much potential to, you know, keep writing stories and stuff. So
Oh, I'm sure she will.
yeah.
And just hearing also the story, well, first when she was talking about her therapist and how she really hadn't framed her mother in any negative light at all.
Yeah.
And when the therapist started to even bring it up a little bit, she was like, I'm not talking about this. I'm never going to talk about it. And
Right.
then knowing that we are reading like all of these details, like she's come so far in terms of being open and
Right.
honest with herself about her mom. And it's just such a really full circle journey. The book does a really good job. She really like sticks to this one arc too, because I'm sure there's so much other stuff
Yeah.
that she was dealing with.
Right.
And she does it very well. Damn it, I forgot my other point that I was going to say before the therapist. The directing story where she was holding on to the idea of her spinoff show because she was like, I'm going to get to do what I want in the show because it's my show. And she really wanted to direct and just prove herself in a different way. She wanted some sort of control because as an actor, as she said, you don't get to do the edit. You don't get to choose what you're going to say or what your character's like. You don't get to direct the actor. You don't get to do anything. You kind of just like, you say your lines and you have to trust in everyone else. And she always felt like it felt fake because it's not coming from her. She's just like a kind of a puppet is what she felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's had so little control her entire life. And it is so true. Like as the writer, you have full control over what you're writing. And she was talking about how like private it is and how it's just you get to control every aspect of that world. And that is a thing, like for as a control freak myself, that's part of why I love writing. Cause like this world is mine and I can make any of the rules. I can make TikTok be click clock, and that is real.
I'm dead.
Yeah, honestly, that was one thing that made me a little bit anxious. Because as far as when we got to the ending, like how I felt proud of her for coming so far, I also felt anxious on her behalf because the book blew up so much and was so largely popular. And like, she was always kind of uncomfortable having her picture taken and being in the spotlight. And it made me feel like nervous for her and concerned for her that like all the attention from this book was probably much more than she expected. And I hope she's doing okay.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
think though it's different because the attention was on her before as someone else that wasn't herself.
Right.
And this is like
Yeah.
she's making this is her. You know, she's
Yeah.
created
It is
She
her,
was-
but
who
it's
she
also
is.
it's also so deeply personal that
Yeah,
like
but
I would
so
feel so
different.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's so different though being known for being you than being known for being
As
some person
Sam.
you never invented
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this was like a lot of this journey was about like finding herself without her mom and without these characters. Like who is she underneath
Yeah.
it all? She had to like figure all of that out and rebuild herself because she was just like her mom's person. She was just exactly who her mom wanted her to be.
I also thought it was like really devastating too that like even after her mom passed, like she was still dealing with abuse from like her grandma, and like her grandma was just being so awful to her. That was just like so upsetting to read about as well, just knowing that like the abuse technically like continued on like after her mom passed away. In a different way, obviously, but still, you know.
Yeah. And then there's the
Also, her whole mentality was like she's been programmed since she was 2 years old, and her mom almost died of cancer. That
Right.
like it's so embedded in her that it's gonna take a lifetime to like unlearn that. Like it's always gonna be a
Yeah.
process. I mean, sort of along the same lines as her struggling with her eating disorder. Like it's a ongoing process. Like it's something that
Right.
she's always gonna kind of be working through.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's that scene, not scene, the moment in her life where her grandpa tells her mom that she shouldn't be doing this, and he talks to her and says like a little girl shouldn't have to be worrying about her entire family, and he's
Mhm.
noticing that she's developing like OCD tendencies, and saying that she should take her to a doctor, and she's just like, no, she's fine. And she notices, like you see
Right.
the moments where she notices and she doesn't do or say anything about it. And it's just,
Right.
I mean, even
yeah,
beyond that, the whole thing where like her mom gave her the eating disorder by teaching her to start restricting her calories at age 11. Like it was beyond just like not getting her help for her OCD tendencies. It was like her mom was doing this to her.
Yeah.
and I feel like obviously none of like we didn't experience this like her mom was saying, but like at that time we were steeped in like diet culture,
Yeah.
like everywhere. In like the late 90s, early 2000s, it was like everyone constantly talking about it, so it's easy to see how her mother developed that disorder and how she thought it was okay, because in that time it was just like everywhere. It was very unhealthy.
Yeah. It was a very normalized thing.
Yeah, and I even remember thinking like as I started to go through puberty, the same thing she was thinking about boobs. Like boobs felt like fat, and then like there was this idea, not the idea, a constant idea that you're supposed to be on a diet. Like everyone constantly talking about it, and it was so unhealthy and just yeah, it was toxic. Just and it's just so sad. The whole thing was just like one thing after another. Like in the doctor's office, when you just hear her mom being like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's eating fine. It's just like the gaslighting in every direction. The showers, like she showered her till she was like 17, she said.
Yeah.
And then to find out that her mom was having an affair like all throughout her childhood, and then she has a boyfriend, and her mom's like, you're a whore, and you're not my daughter. It was just horrible. She needed help, and it's horrible that no one was like, you need help.
Right.
These adults.
That, it was all the adults. It was her first boyfriend was 32 when she was 18.
Yeah.
And like she didn't have any kind of support system where she felt like she had someone that she could confide in or talk to, because her mom was her best friend, her mom was her whole world, and her mom turned on a dime of just being like, you're a whore, you're an awful, I disown you, your brothers think you're disgusting, P.S. send money for a new refrigerator. Like, it was
Right.
just so messed up.
Watching her develop a friendship with Miranda like kept making
Oh,
me cry. I was just
yeah,
like,
that was precious.
like in a way, she's like so lucky that she ended up on a show where she had she found a best friend who kind of showed her that what was happening in her life wasn't normal, because she was homeschooled, so she really wasn't exposed to that many other people her age that were like in a quote normal situation.
Right.
And like the stress of when Miranda gave her like a really nice gift, and then she was like, I need to get her something cool. Like,
Yeah.
what's cool? I don't
Right.
even know.
Oh. Yeah.
And then like when they exchanged aims, I love when she's like, what's aim?
Yeah. And she like acts like she knows. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that they're, you know, still on really good terms. And like
Yeah.
when she found out about her mom, like Miranda was there to drive her to the hospital. And yeah.
And finding her real dad or whatever too, when they went to the jazz concert and stuff. Miranda was there with her, and
yeah. It was
Did
really.
you guys watch iCarly? Were you familiar with her when she was in those shows?
So, oh, Jesse, go ahead.
I was
You're
gonna say like a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I watched it a little bit, and then like when I worked at an after-school care program, and so we watched it all the time. Like we just had iCarly on the whole time, so like I was very familiar with Jennette. So
yeah, it was my brother's generation show. So like he was born in '99, and he loved iCarly.
right.
And so I knew of her there, and I always thought she was the best actress on the show. Like I'd watch and be like,
She was
she's
so
really
funny.
Yeah. And then to hear like this backstory, it was just so sad to like hear through this lens. Like she felt like she was just like dead-eyed all the time, just like she knows how to act, obviously.
And then hearing like the behind the scenes too of like the creator.
Oh my god, yeah.
Being the worst.
Like creepy as fuck.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah, I don't know if Paul must have watched some of the spin-off show, because I don't think it was on that late after iCarly.
Right.
But I didn't know about it at all. I did not know Ariana Grande was on the show with her. And then she started talking about it. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Wait, is that where Ariana Grande was on a show I knew, but I didn't know what show it was. And to hear it was hers, it was like, huh? And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, Ariana came from Victorious, and then
Oh.
Jennette was on iCarly, and then they did the spin-off with their characters from those shows together. So Sam and Cat, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. And she was like, I was under the impression it was going to be about Sam, not about Sam and Cat.
Right.
And then to hear that like she would get these opportunities but wouldn't be allowed to do them, but then Ariana was like, oh, I'm going to do all my pop stuff, and they were like, okay, let's write you out of the episodes. And it was just so unfair and sad to hear too. And then she didn't even get the directing thing, and then I was like, did Ariana Grande?
That's what it like felt like it was alluding to, but she didn't want to directly say, you know.
That is what she alluded to. And that made me just like look at Ariana Grande very differently.
Such a different way. Yeah.
That was one thing when this book first came out. That was a lot of Ariana Grande's fans were talking about it because they were very upset about how she was portrayed in this, and they kind of made it as like a whole big point about this book. But when we got to it, like it was a very, very minor thing. Like it was alluded to about the not being able to direct, but like she went through so much other stuff. And can you really blame her for being jealous in this environment? Right. It's not about Ariana Grande personally. It's about the unfairness of the situation where like one star gets all this like special treatment and the other one doesn't. Like, of course, some resentment is going to breed there, especially with the bits about how the creators kind of pit them against each other and be like, you're my favorite, you're the best talent, and how he was probably doing that to everyone.
They're so young too.
I also remember like people on Twitter taking the Tom Hanks thing out of context and being like, oh, she blew up because she's jealous that she got to hang out with Tom Hanks. I'm like, no, that's not it. Like, sure, that point like led to her having a panic attack, but it's like all these things built up to that moment of just being like, I'm being treated so unfairly compared to her, you know. It's just like people are not like registering it. I'm like, use your brain, come on.
Yeah, it was like the child star persona was still attached to her, but Ariana like somehow got to shake it off very easily with her other endeavors. So it was really frustrating. And that's so understandable.
I know.
Also, it's so long ago too. And like they've both grown into adults. So it's not something that just happened, you know? Like you gotta give people time to change and evolve.
Yeah.
It's the whole like child star environment is so toxic for like especially when she was young and like these kids are like 6 and 7 and they're dealing with like this rejection and in probably many cases their parents pressuring them to do this because how many kids are doing this? They're too young to know. They're pressured into it. And it's so heartbreaking, that whole industry, because like they're being rejected so hard when they're in such like a fragile developmental stage that it's not healthy. Like that one scene where her grandfather was like, "You need time to be a kid," and he like gave her that little toy, and was like, "I want you to have a childhood," but like she couldn't do that because her mom was pressuring her so much to make money and to pay all the bills. And anytime she questioned it, when her mom is like, "But you know, you're gonna still get all your money because I'm only gonna take like my fee for managing you and for essentials." And like she asked, "What's essentials?" And her mom immediately like got angry and was like, "Don't ask questions," basically. It's just so unhealthy, and there need to be like more laws against this kind of thing. And I mean, this was 10, 12, 20 years ago or so, but like we also need them for YouTube these days. With
I was really thinking.
Yeah. Because like in 10 years from now, we're gonna have like family vloggers, kids who grew up under a YouTube camera, coming out and talking about like what a terrible living environment that was growing up in.
And even now with TikTok, like parents are exploiting their kids on that app as well. It's just
across all socials.
Sad.
How funny / sad. It was like a moment of levity in the sadness when she was like, this one commercial, I didn't get it because I couldn't pogo stick. So every day from then on, my mom made me pogo 50 times in a row till I could pogo 1,000 times.
Oh my God.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm really good at pogo sticking, FYI." Like, pogo sticking was such a fucking random thing that was popular in the 90s / early 2000s. Like, did you guys have a pogo stick?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I took it upon myself. I remember one day to get good at pogo sticking as well.
I was never very good at it, honestly. It was hard.
It was hard, but once you got the hang of it, it was like the same thing as like, you know, sort of, I don't know what I would compare it to.
Bouncing? Jumping?
But it hurt your back after a while because it like hit the floor so intensely.
Oh my gosh.
Did you guys have moon shoes? That just reminded me of those stupid shoes. Those didn't really work.
Moon shoes?
Yeah, they were like these thick shoes that you wear that were supposed to bounce. I had them, but they sucked.
Oh, I do remember these. I never had them, but I remember seeing like the commercial for them.
Yes, it was like around the same time as the Skip It or moon shoes. Like, let's see, yeah, there they are. I haven't looked at these in so long. They're like big boxes on your feet. And they did not work. Like, they did not make you bounce. You had to press so hard to get off the ground.
Can you still buy these? Are they still on the market? Oh my God, they are.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They don't like, look at them. It's like a shoe attached to a bunch of plastic. It's not even a spring.
Interesting.
So weird. They sucked, but I had a pair. But yeah, I loved my fucking Skip It. Skip It was my favorite of these 90s trends.
I never had one.
You never had a Skip It? Maybe
No.
it was more
I feel like they were, targeted towards girls.
They definitely were, even though it's just like you're skipping around something. So
why does that have a gender attached to it?
That was stupid. But I loved it. And it used to count how many times it would go around, and then you'd like reset it. So you'd be like, look how many times I did it in a row. Okay, we've gotten off topic. So we've got 4 more minutes to chat Jennette McCurdy. Was there any moments, did you guys get emotional while you were reading? Because do you remember any specific parts that brought up the emotion for you? Because it was all emotional. So like
I
the
know. I think it was
character,
just mostly like her relationship with her mom, like a lot of that, because I just can't imagine like going through that. Because I had like such an opposite situation. Like I had a really good relationship with my mom, so like reading about her relationship was just like, I don't know. I just can't imagine having to deal with that growing up. But
what about you, Kat?
The whole thing, God, it was
yeah,
just.
Was there any part that like teared up though, like that you teared listening to?
I didn't really. No, I was reading. I hit the ebook.
Reading, sorry.
I didn't really tear up at any parts. Maybe some of the parts with her dealing with her eating disorder recovery. But some of those I kind of had to skim read because it was like very graphic of like, and I was just like skipping to the next part. But also one of the parts that kind of affected me the most, like made me the most anxious and stressed out, was her romantic relationships and a lot of the guys like pressuring her sexually and stuff. I just felt like so bad on her behalf. Like the whole thing where like the first experience with her 32-year-old boyfriend when she was 18 and she like wasn't ready for sex, so he was like pressuring her into other things, and it was just, I wanted to like yell at him on her behalf and be like, I wish she had someone on her side who could tell her like, this isn't right, like he's taking advantage of you, like this isn't healthy, kind of thing. Because she was just so I don't know, it was just so
the fact that no one even ever taught her any of this. Like when he came, she was like, what is that? What happened? Something came out. Like she was 18 years old and she had never learned that because she was in an environment that was so over controlled by her mother.
Yeah.
That was, and the way he was like crying and like being like, I made a mistake, but give me a blowjob. Like, and then she was with him for like a full another year. It was really sad. I remember like I got teary when she went to her mom because she thought she was like, she felt like her boob and she thought she was dying. And then when she was at the doctor, that whole scene was like really hard to listen to with her mom being such a terrible person. And then like she got in the car and she was like, I'm excited to have my popsicle when I get home.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so upsetting. And like the part with the therapist, really like with her first therapist, when she like started making progress and then like quit,
walked out.
Really sad.
And then on top of that, her boyfriend at the time, who was encouraging her to get therapy and be healthy, and who at that moment seemed like a good influence in her life, like was finally a good influence saying get therapy. And then he was struggling so much with his own mental health stuff that they were bad for each other all over again. And he's like, oh, it's okay that you quit therapy because we're going to start going to church several times a week. And like you don't need mental health help because of that now. It's just so sad.
I think the part that really got me the most though was the part when like Miranda started befriending her, because it was like like amongst all the anguished sadness, there was this like moment of light. And that's what, like, I was so happy that she had found a friend. That made me emotional. And just knowing, I don't know, I feel like I've seen Miranda a lot throughout the years, and kind of getting a sense of who she is through Jennette's eyes was just like really nice to see that they genuinely were really nice to each other and best friends.
I have no context for that because I don't know Miranda at all. So in retrospect, that them having a true friendship was nice, but because everything else like was going bad for her, I was just waiting for that relationship to go bad as well. While I was just like, what's going to happen? Like, are they going to just fall apart because they don't have the context of the show together anymore? Or like,
I already knew. I knew they made it through.
I so I was so stressed out the whole time. I kept waiting for like one of them to betray the other, or, like turn out to be a backstabbing, jealous type, and it was just. I would have enjoyed that more in retrospect if I had known it had a happy ending. But I was just so anxious about all of her relationships because none of them seemed healthy that I was like, I didn't trust it.
Did you ever watch Drake and Josh?
No, I missed all of these shows.
She was on School of Rock.
Yeah, she was in School of Rock first, and then she was in Drake and Josh as the little sister. And I love Drake and Josh, so that's where I first got to know her. And then she got her own show, which was iCarly. So like Nickelodeon would do that a lot, like take one person from like their successful show and make another show, and hopefully that show would be successful. And iCarly was very successful, but the show after iCarly, did that fall apart because she didn't want to do it anymore because not Sam, oh my god, because Jennette didn't want to do it anymore. Ariana was getting famous. I don't know. Or was it canceled?
It was probably a number of all those different things. Like it sounds like at the end of the show, it was also when the creator and like possibly another producer were like coming under allegations of like their terrible behavior. Like that probably contributed. Ariana Grande's fame taking off probably contributed. Jennette not wanting to do the show anymore probably it was probably just a bunch of factors.
Yeah.
Also, they were getting older at that point, so like it wasn't a teen or the kids show anymore. Like they were in their 20s by then.
Yeah, they wanted to do something else. All right. Well, we're going to move out of I'm Glad My Mom Died. It was very, very good. And now we're going to move into our fun award superlatives of all the Booksplosion books we read this year. As before we even dive in, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here. And if you read any books with us this year, thank you. And feel free to play along with us. We're going to go through from 12 to 1, like our favorites, how we rank the books of the year. And then we're going to do some superlatives. So we're going to start with number 12. Really quick, I'll run through. What?
12?
Are you? I still ranked that book.
I didn't read the books. I can't read it.
I read the most of the book and I couldn't even read it.
Well, an honorable mention
because
to The First to Die at the End. I did not read it. We canceled the live show. So that doesn't count for me.
Some context, if you didn't hear, I was in an anxiety, like a really bad anxiety place, and then reading. It has a lot of hypochondriac triggers if you're hypochondriac reading The First to Die at the End. So if that's you, maybe you don't want to pick it up. But I was having I was like waking up having panic attacks and having panic attacks during the day, and it was bad. So
the thing is, I always read the books like the day of the live show or like the day before, and you figured it out like a couple days before you were a decent chunk into it, where you were like, I can't finish it. Like, I don't think I can finish this. So I didn't read it.
Well, it was really good. Like, it was one of those books that, like, if you read enough books, you can be like, okay, I can see where Adam is gonna go with this, and it's gonna be beautiful because I know how he writes. But I cannot be with this character for 300 pages without like losing my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited to read it in the future. I definitely still want to, but since I wasn't on the strict timeline to finish it, I didn't.
All right. Well, okay. Oh, Bunton read all 12 books this year. Thank you so much. If you're in the chat and you want to let us know.
Better than Cat and I.
Yeah, let us know how many books you read with us this year, or if you read any, which ones they were. We'd love to hear.
Especially if you read all 12, I would love to know your ranking of them as well, how it compares to ours.
We're about to rank them. I have my ranking all 12.
Can you start with 12 and then we'll just join it at 11, I guess?
Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, hold on. Let me just pull up my list so I don't like fuck it up by accident.
Well, but if I'm gonna rank the 100 pages I read of The First to Die.
Okay, then you can have 12. I can't.
Okay, I know Adam. I know I would have enjoyed Adam's book to a degree higher than. I'm not gonna put it at the very top, but like.
Yeah, it's not my bottom though.
The first 100 pages were better than a couple of these.
Okay, yeah. My number 12 is A Magic Steeped in Poison. Really not a fan of the book in general. I did not enjoy that. It was very hard to get through it. I didn't, yeah. Cat?
Mine was The Rumor Game, which was fine, but I honestly don't remember much of it at this point. I do remember it was a contemporary book, and it dealt with a lot of more, like, it wasn't lighthearted. I prefer my contemporary.
Yeah, it was heavy, and it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was heavy, and it had a lot of triggering topics, and I prefer more levity in my contemporaries. So I think it was a good book, but just for me personally, not very high on my list.
Okay, Lexi read 7. Thank you so much for reading 7 with us. Let's see, Luke read 11. You read as much as Jesse and me and Kat, I guess, because I didn't finish. So Meta Land Maggie read 1. I'm glad my mom died. Nice. Thank you for joining us with that. This month was the only Booksplosion I've read since the beginning of the live show because I finally finished with school. Oh, thank you, Dove. I'm glad you were able to join us this month. So now, okay, let's go to our number 11. On the count of 3, do you want to show our number 11?
I just saw yours.
Oh, well, 11.
11. I'm sorry.
Jesse!
It just wasn't for me. It was not my vibe, and that's all I'll say. Okay, I'm not gonna argue on this one. I know you guys love this one, but it just wasn't for me. It didn't work for me, okay? We're not fighting today, okay?
Where is The Magic Steeped in Poison? Are you kidding?
You'll see. Anyway, moving on.
For me, I loved the premise and the world so much, but this was probably my most disappointing read of the year because I had such high expectations. And it did not meet them, sadly. You can watch the live show for my full rant on why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot a book and it's over here. All right. 10. Ready?
10.
1,
ready.
2.
Wait, you didn't say why yours was 11.
Oh, it was the same reasons that you said for the rumor. Okay. Oh, Kat, we're matching. Jesse, A Magic Steeped in Poison. Yeah, all of our thoughts on that are in the live show if you're interested.
Yeah.
I don't really remember mine specifically because I was so unimpressed with like the characters. I feel like
I remember like 2 things were like convenience of plot, like things just happened conveniently, and then the characters were all just so flat, like overall. So.
Oh, Bunton is also A Magic Steeped in Poison. Sapphire Jones, you read 2. Thank you for reading 2. Like honestly. If you read any with us, we are thrilled. Thank you.
Exactly.
And even just being here today with us, we're so thankful that you're here to hang. Yeah, this is not the real world. It just felt kind of rushed to me, and like it didn't have a nice enough arc for a complete story.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. It felt a bit unnecessary. This Is Not the Judge Show was a really solid book, and especially the ending was so good that like this, I don't know if it necessarily like took away from book 1 and the ending of book 1, but I just wonder if it was necessary.
Yeah, but I love the end of book 1. It left off on a note that really makes you think, and I like when they do that and just leave it at that. Because
yeah, but the thing is, I also I like the characters and I like the world and the situation. So I was conflicted because I don't think this is a bad book at all. It just it wasn't as impactful as book 1.
Mm-hmm. Manon says she read 3. And These Violent Delights, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I'm Glad My Mom Died. Nice. Those are 3 good picks. Oh, These Violent Delights was actually last year, but still. Yeah. Okay. We are at 9 on our list. Are y'all ready with 9? I'm not ready with 9. Where's my number 9? Okay. Oh my gosh. God, I can't believe it's number 9.
Really?
Yeah.
What else would I? What are you putting here?
I am putting. I'm sorry. I'm downloading it because I don't have the hard copy right in front of me. Gallant.
Excuse me. You can take several seats with that. That's not allowed.
Okay, this is so annoying because I bought Gallant and then lost it and then bought it
Oh my
again
God.
because I wanted to have the hard copy. I couldn't find it for this live show, and I bought it on audio. So I bought the book 3
My
times and I
word.
cannot find a hard copy. Anyway.
With this one, it was cute. This is definitely more in lines with the kind of YA contemporary that I enjoy. But I was still iffy on the relationship the whole time because the secret relationship trope is only fun if both people are like fully on board. When it's one person like keeping the other like a shameful secret, that's not fun.
Oh my God.
That's my what?
It's like Christina shook. She's like,
I know you really liked it, Christine, but I don't know. I had suspension of disbelief issues as well with the K-pop scene.
I feel like maybe if you knew more about the K-pop scene, you have those issues. But since I was so new to it, I was like, this is so fun. All right. Oh, wait, Jesse, did you explain yours? Wait, what was yours? This is not the real
this is
world.
not the real world. We've said enough.
Okay, for Gallant, mine. I think I talked about this a lot in the live show, but it like wasn't my jam at all. It was very middle grade and it had no romance. And it was more atmospheric than character driven, which is just not my cup of tea.
Boring.
All right, next, coming in at number 8 on our list this year. Ready?
Ready.
2. Oh my
God! Mine is Finley Donovan. Which I enjoyed, but my like it was a really fun like romp. But it was frustrating at times because I wanted Finley to be savvier about
I had the
murder mysteries. And we also talked about how it might have almost been is that a spoiler? Watch the live show if you want to know my
as far as this, for me, I knew I was going to like this book. So I just put it behind just the ones that I finished and liked a lot.
I was just underwhelmed with this one overall. I was underwhelmed with like the relationship aspect and then the K-pop aspect as well. So yeah.
Let's see. In the chat, Bunton is saying 8 for hers. Defend the Dawn. I actually don't know if your pronoun is her, and I'm sorry if I messed that up. And Brielle says that she's been focused on writing in college, but she did listen to I'm Glad My Mom Died. I'm so happy that you joined us this month. And Catherine says she read 7. That's awesome. Nice. Thank you. All right. Now we're at number 7. Ready?
What is my number 7?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice.
Mine here is the first to die at the end.
Nice.
Because I enjoyed what I read. I enjoyed enough to squeeze in here. Right. I feel like it would also be ranked higher if I had finished it completely. But yeah, I liked it more than the books lower.
Nice. What do you have to say, Jeff?
I like this one. I just was expecting something completely different, so that just threw me off with it. So
exactly.
I was expecting like a romantic comedy, and it was not at all. So
yeah, we were all expecting a rom-com, and then it was a drama, and it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right, coming in at 6.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Kat, what is yours?
Honey Girl. Nice. It took a second to pop up.
Yeah. For the reasons that you guys just said, like I really enjoyed it. I love the found family aspects, and like the coming of age, even when you're in your late 20s element. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, it was less of a focus on the rom-comness than I was anticipating.
Nice. Yeah, Jesse.
I actually really liked the rumor game. I felt like there were a lot of things happening that like made for a great discussion with us. Like I feel like I don't know. I remember coming out of it having like great discussion on this book, so that kind of like heightened my experience.
Yeah, the discussion was good. It was just like the book.
It's just a very hard book to read.
Frustrating. Yeah. There's a lot of cruelty in it, like unlikable characters.
And a frustrating ending for reasons. And also, again, like I feel like that's also mine and Christine's taste. We skew toward the more lighthearted, comedic side of YA contempt.
With Finley Donovan, it had it had some fun comedy, and like I liked the premise, but she was too dumb for me to put it any higher. It still like irks me when she was dumb. I'm like, girl, you write mysteries. Okay, now number 5. All right, number 5. Let's get that going.
Just gonna get a picture of it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ding. Kat, what is yours?
I don't have pictures of it.
I thought you were frozen for a second.
I did too.
Waiting for it to pop up.
Mine is also I'm glad my mom died.
Oh, nice. Jesse, you want to explain any thoughts there?
I really enjoyed this one. It was fun. I even read the sequel like right after I read this.
Oh, what was it?
I did not like the sequel as much as the first one. I'm under the impression that I feel like this one should have stayed a standalone personally. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. So
I really liked I'm Glad My Mom Died a lot. It just didn't like it as much as the next 4. Is this number 5? Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic book. I think all of the praise is really good for it, is really fitting for it. But tying back to what I said about some other books, I prefer books that are less triggering and like emotionally raw and like overwhelming. Reading this book, like as good of a book as it was, like it put me in a not great mental state. I prefer more escapist fantasy fun shenanigan type stuff.
Gotcha.
Yes, lots of
and also it's hard to rank a memoir comparing it to like novels. But yeah, I did still really enjoy it. I think it was a great book.
Let me see. Oh, Catherine said she read Honey Girl as part of her 50 states plus DC reading challenge, and it was her Nevada book. That's cool. She went so many places in that book, so it would be perfect for like Florida, Nevada. Does she also live in like Portland? So Oregon. Like that works for a lot. Okay, moving on to our 4. We're in the top 4.
Ooh.
Okay. I wonder if Jesse and I have the same book here.
You definitely don't have the same as me. 1, 2, 3.
Oh,
a different one. Damn.
My physical copy's in the other room. I forgot to grab it, but Defend the Dawn. Yeah, I loved Defend the Dawn. It was like I feel like she did such a great job with like expanding the world, and it was just so fun. I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
same for me with Gallant. I loved that it was atmospheric. I could have gone for more romance because I do like that in a book. But I loved the world building and how atmospheric it was. I do think it would have been better if that thing that we talked about that we thought was going to happen at the end had happened at the end. Like, I think that final impact would have been more powerful, and I would have enjoyed that quite a lot. But otherwise, I really enjoyed this.
I had so much fun with XOXO. This was such a cute, fun YA rom-com, in my opinion. I love that she traveled to Seoul and got to experience like a whole new country and living and going to school there. Like I love the study abroad aspect of it and her kind of coming into her own. And I mean, like the romance is kind of secondary, but it's still there, which is like my favorite. My favorite kind of YA. It's like a coming of age, but also just got a nice rom happening through it. So I enjoyed it a lot. All right.
All right.
3.
3.
1.
Christine, do we have the same top 3?
Maybe. Wait, what did you just have? Gallant? Maybe. Ready? 1.
I'm always so different.
1, 2, 3. Oh!
Woo! I'm not like all the other girls. I love Gallant.
I like that
reasons.
copy.
Christine didn't like it. So yes, very
I like that
beautiful.
edition. It's really pretty.
It's
It
Al
is
Crate's
really
edition. So I have all the editions. So
We know. We've seen them.
I loved Defend the Dawn. I loved all the new characters and new dynamics and being on the ship. I thought it was I enjoyed the twists a lot. I like how much it threw me. It was a good book. Kitten?
You lagged out for me that whole time. So am I frozen?
You're good.
You're better.
Good
You're there.
Am I okay now? Okay.
You're
Well, I missed what
lagging.
you said completely.
Okay, we'll
okay.
say your thing. Say yours. Cat.
Am I
Say
okay now?
something.
Okay.
I'm giving up on you.
Can you hear me?
We can. You're just lagging.
Oh, okay. I mean, Defend the Dawn. I didn't like it quite as much as book 1, but it was a great follow-up, and I'm very, very excited to see where the series goes in the next installment. More installments. We don't know how many books are in the series yet, but I love this world. I love Bridget Kemmer's writing and characters, and I can't wait for more.
Nice. All right, we got 2 left, y'all. Coming in at number 2. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh.
Oh.
Wait, Kat, what's
What's
your
that?
Oh.
I figured you guys would have the same number 1.
Well, okay. The only reason this isn't my number
Number
1
2.
is because it's a reread. So I felt like I shouldn't
Oh.
Yeah, I felt like if I'm thinking about my enjoyment of the actual read this time around, I'd already read it and it was wonderful. This is one of my favorite books of all time, but I just felt like I wanted to give it to a book that I was I read for the first time.
Right.
Sure.
Kat, what about you?
I mean, I love this book. I thought it was the opposite of what Jessie thought it. I love Olivia Blake's writing. I've been a fan of her for a long time, and because she writes a lot of fanfic, or she wrote a lot of fanfic, but now she's finding a lot of success in traditional publishing with a lot of her previously self-published novels coming out in the next couple of years. I love her writing. I love her world building. I love her characters. I loved this book.
Jessie, what was your number 2?
I'm glad my mom died.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was really good. I feel like it's just going to be a book that sticks with me, and I'll probably think about it a lot. And I love thought-provoking books like that. So
yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
All right, number 1. But before we got to give some superlatives. So let's get our number 1 out there. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yay!
Ooh,
Cat match.
nice.
Woo!
Nice. Well, they all match really well.
Mine is blue.
Yeah, but it still has the same vibe.
Sure.
Yeah. I love the Atlas 6, just like Kat just said. I thought it was fantastic, and I'm excited to read the sequel.
The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is perfection. B.E. Schwab can do no wrong.
It is
and
perfection.
That is a hill I'm willing to die on. So
Kat.
Same. This book was. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Same. This book was fantastic. One of my all-time favorites. My favorite of the year, not just in Booksplosion, but of all the books I've read. It's everything that I love about a Victoria Schwab book. And Especially like contrasting it to Gallant, where I felt like the ending could have been more powerful and we could have had more romance. Like this had a great blend of romance,
Perfect.
the relationship dynamics, and the ending was also perfect. It's perfect.
It was so perfect. Like I know I didn't put it as one, but like it is my one. I just didn't want to. I had already read it and like gushed about it 100 times. So.
It's great. It's my favorite V.E. Schwab book, and she is one of my favorite authors of all time. So
yes. Let's see. Bunton is saying XOXO was their favorite.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Lexi said The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue was her favorite, and Atlas 6 was number 2. Nice matching. All right, let's give out some superlatives, okay?
All right.
Which of these books do we think had the best cover?
One that annoys me.
Yeah, literally so good.
That's part of why I was disappointed, because I mostly bought this because I think the cover is so gorgeous. Like both this and this book, like they're such beautiful books, but then the inside was disappointing.
No.
I think the covers of these books are so cleverly drawn.
Yeah.
There's just so much in it. Like I love how they always manage to put like the Grim Reaper here, and like there's a skull behind them. And at first glance, I feel like you might not see that, especially in the cover for they both die at the end. And the more you look at it, the more you see, and I love that.
Yeah.
I think that would probably get my my honorable mention, my second runner-up award for covers, because I do think that's a really good cover.
Okay. Did you have a favorite ship of all the books we read this year? Because my favorite ship award goes to Addie and the boy from the bookstore, and I cannot remember. Henry. Addie and Henry.
I liked Addie and the devil more.
Of course.
I don't know if I would necessarily call it my favorite ship, but I really enjoyed all the different relationship dynamics.
Yes. Oh my God, how did I not think of them?
So many dynamics were great. Yeah, just all the character dynamics are so good because she's so good at doing characters.
Yes. Wait, I have to change mine because I'm shipping Libby and Nico so fucking hard. It's ridiculous. Like I want them to get together so bad. And I don't
know if I ship them as a romance as much as I love their rivalry and their dynamics together.
That's why their romance would be so hot.
I mean, but I also like the romances they have with other people in the books. Jesse, I hate you.
My headphones aren't working suddenly. I don't know what's happening. It's weird.
Oh my God.
Oh, I think I hear you. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to say Addie and Henry as well, but I didn't feel strongly about a couple this year at all. So actually, Defend the Dawn, maybe? No, that was frustrating. They were that one was kind of frustrating.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating because they can't have their happily ever after right now in book 2, so we had to have some kind of relationship conflict. But I was just I just wanted them to have a stronger us against the world kind of foundation rather than conflict in between them.
Yeah.
Which character gets the I Could Not Stand You award this year? Let's see. I guess I gotta give it to the character that made it so that I can't read this, but it's really sad. It's only because he's sick and I can't read it without feeling like I'm gonna die.
This is hard.
Oh yeah, Jennette's mom.
Yeah, does that count?
She counts. She's a real person.
I really only care. I really only I definitely one of our point of view characters in this I disliked.
Oh my God, yes.
I also didn't feel a strong attachment to any of them.
Right.
they're one of the characters I mostly just felt bad for the whole time, and then the others, one I really didn't like at all, and one I was like kind of mixed on. I mean, also wasn't a fan of our main character here, which was part of what made this so frustrating.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, best audiobook of the year of the books that we have here.
The Jennette McCurdy one was fantastic. I liked that one a lot.
It was, but I feel like also this was beautiful. It was so well read.
I did not listen to any of these in audio.
Oh, none. Wow.
I don't like audiobooks as my first exposure to a book. Like audiobooks are like a nice comfort reread thing for me, but otherwise, like, I'll space out for 30 seconds and then I'll feel like I missed something important. So like I like reading with my eyeballs the first time around, and then audiobooking favorites.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Jesse, which one did you said? Jennette McCurdy.
Yeah.
And it was great too.
Yeah. There was a moment in it too. I forgot to mention this in the first part where she like gets emotional while she's like reading the book. And I was like,
it was when she was talking about like thinking about back when she was in the doctor's office, and it made her feel like that when the therapist pointed out that her mom was doing stuff that was unhealthy for her. And she was like, all of a sudden I was back and I was that little girl in the office who didn't know what anorexia was. And it was so sad. I listened to that bit this morning. All right. Couple more superlatives today. If you guys want to hear any superlatives in the chat, throw them in there and we'll answer them. Okay. Is there a character that you wanted to date from any of the books we read this year? Mine is Henry. Except poor Henry was really struggling, but he was so wonderful.
I don't think there is anybody that I'm interested in.
Yeah, me neither.
You have to pick one. Pick one. You have to date one.
Addie, even though I don't even think I would be that interested in Addie.
Korik?
Yeah, Korik's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the thing with a lot of the books we read this year is that even the people... Huh?
I said the K-pop star, but also that'd be stressful, so never mind.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, and also I didn't like him because like he wasn't... It felt like he was stringing her along for a lot of it. And like he was like, oh, we can't... I don't know. It was too much of an about face when he was like, oh, he went too quickly from, oh, we can't even be friends to, oh, we can be secret friends to like, I don't know. It didn't work for me.
Best villain. I probably Finley Donovan. Oh, Knight. Yeah, the Knight's the best villain. Obviously, I forgot about him. He's the best kind of villain where he's got a lot of morally gray shit.
Yeah.
Favorite. Kat, are you there? Did you say something? You froze.
Yeah, best villain. It's gotta be,
It's gotta be Knight from Addie LaRue. He's just, you love to hate him and love to love him. All right, we'll do one more.
I just love him.
We'll do one more. Who's the character you felt like you related to the most?
Oh.
I've got one. Who are you gonna pick?
That's a hard question. I think Addie, maybe?
I feel like Finley Donovan, except she's very clumsy and dumb, and I feel like I might be that way in those situations because I'm too anxious.
No,
I don't know.
You're so smart, though. I feel like even in anxious situations, you're smart.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe smarter than her, but in the way that she smarter. In the way that she though, like with my anxiety though, I do feel that like you just things fall out of your brain, sort of a thing, where like you remember it after and you're like, fuck, what did I do? But also she's a writer, and that's the aspect of her that I related to, like the way she was talking about writing.
Yeah. I think maybe Addie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I
I
really
really
related
like
to her too.
many characters. Maybe Grace from Honey Girl as well, because she's like trying
Yeah.
to figure her shit out.
That's true. Yeah, she was very relatable.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I forgot about Addie. Addie, like, the way she talks about being creative and the way she talks about being remembered is so poignant and so relatable to anyone who does creative work, I feel like.
yeah. I think that's what got me the most is her relationship with art. And being creative.
Yeah, it made me cry so many times.
I'm gonna cry right now.
I want to reread this already. Like, I mean, we read it in January, so it's been about a year.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, just us talking about it in this live show makes me want to be like, I want to reread this because I really, really loved it.
I wrote down so many quotes from it when I read it the first time because, like, V.E. Schwab just so beautifully hits those creative feelings and yearnings and thoughts. It's just perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end on this one. Which book made you feel like you wish you'd written it yourself? Definitely Addie LaRue. I feel like, again, related to it so hard and it was so beautiful.
Yeah.
One of these two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Addie LaRue, just because it was so beautifully written and like the concept and just everything about it was so
it was like, I wish I could write something like this beautiful, like like capture these feelings.
And then also the Atlas 6, just because I love all the character dynamics, and I would love to be able to write a book with like a large ensemble cast where like they all have arcs and they all interact together. But that complexity is a little bit beyond me at this point. Like I tend to stick to one or two.
I think you'd write a better version of the Atlas.
But yeah, the Atlas.
The thing with the Atlas 6, yeah, like Kat, like you're saying, the way that she juggles the characters is so masterful. I just doing 2 characters wrote a book that was so fucking long. Like for my 3rd book, I was like, I can only do 1 or else I'll write a book that's like 200,000 words. Like I like to do these extensive arcs. Like how does she pin these characters so well in these short sections? That's an art.
I'm trying to. The book I've been writing over the last month or so has one main character, but it's written in 3rd person. So like we also get some other perspectives throughout. Like I wouldn't quite call it an ensemble cast, but I'm trying to juggle a little bit of like more side characters. You know, kind of how Cassie Clare does at least in the earlier books. Her books now are like very much ensemble, but like the earlier ones were much more focused on Clary with like a little bit of other character point of views.
Mm-hmm. Well, y'all, that was our 2022 Booksplosion year. We're going to chat after this and figure out our January book of the month, and we will pop that out on our socials so you know what we're reading if you want to read along with us. We are hoping to see you in the new year. I just lost my whole train of thought because I was reading what came in on the chat.
If any of you guys have suggestions for books coming out in the next few months that you think would be a fun Booksplosion book, feel free to leave us suggestions. Also, we might try to do a Dear Booksplosion style live show where we talk about our other favorites, our non-bookish favorites of the year. We might be doing something like that soon too. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter for all the updates.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really fun, like interacting with you on the chat, and we will see you in the new year. I'm Christine.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Kat.
Our Booksplosion.